Basma and Nargis, hi.
Hi.
Nice to have you here with us, finally.
Thank you.
And so I'll start a little bit about how this has come to be and why I have you both here with me. And it's, of course, Basma, I know you for a while now. Nargis is younger, so this is the first time I see her. Okay, and of course your mom and dad, I know them very well. The thing is, the interesting part is I've always seen you either with your husband,
Yes.
very nice, walking outside and we chat and all that, and then, or I see you with your dad, who is an expert in Persian carpets, and they have the Baradaran carpet shop. I never knew what actually you did as a career. And how it happened to be was one of my friends, she sends me this video. She says, watch this. This is very interesting. And it's an interview about you both on TV in Bahrain. And then you're talking about this interesting, amazing area that I had no clue that you were in. So I got all excited and I said, I have to have you both in here telling us your story so that we share it with everyone else. Yes. And usually how we start is we start with, let's say, high school. We go back to high school.
Way back.
Way back.
Go
way back. We go to high school. So
I think a long time for me.
What would I say if somebody told me that? Then no, it's not long back. So I will start with you, Basma, and then we'll shift it to you.
All right.
Okay, Nargis? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'll say, of course, to know people, to know that what do I do. So in order to talk about my high school, how I reached to this, where I am today. Throughout my high school, even as a kid, I always felt I'm actually ADHD myself. Attention deficient hyper disorder. That's what it's called. Never knew I was ADHD. So, and throughout the high school, I always had struggled with my academics. Even with, of course, some impulsive things that I do that I find it funny for myself in that time. As I was growing up, I went to university. I studied bachelor's in graphic communication. Design actually was completely different.
Okay.
And then before I finished my bachelor, I was thinking of I got interested in art therapy. Before to get into that, I remember one day I was doing an internship as, for graphic. Mm-hmm. And I actually, started thinking, is this what I want to do all this time? Just sit and design on this chair, just design. I felt like I could do more than this. This is not what I wanted to do. Of course, you're young. You're going to change your path and career 100 times. So
Tell me about it.
It's very normal. So then I decided to do art therapy. I wanted to do art therapy. So I've talked to my dad and my mom that, I want to change my career path, after which I wanted to do art therapy. So I've explained to them what art therapy was to my parents, and they got interested and excited. So I said, I'm going to do my master's in art therapy. Unfortunately, they did not accept it for me to do art therapy because of an age. Yes, because you had to be 25 and above to do.
It had nothing to do with your degree, the first bachelor's degree.
No. It's okay actually. You can, because I was already studying art. So then I don't know. I was just like, it was so funny that I just said, but I want to do masters. So I just applied anything, like any kind of courses. Somehow the course just came to my lap that I got accepted in special needs education with Roehampton University. And when I read it and I got interested about it and started doing that master's and doing this master's. When I was doing my master's in special ed, ironically is also the part that my professor felt there was something off of me.
Okay.
And he actually sent me an email to come to for a meeting. And there was this also, my other professor was also a psychologist doctor, you know, and all of that. And then as they were asking me, I didn't know what was going on. So it was pretty much an assessment. And then they kind of told me, you know you're ADHD. I was like, oh, I didn't know.
Okay, so let me just stop you right there because that was what I was going to ask you. Mm-hmm. Now, you said you were going through high school and you were ADHD.
Yes.
Okay. And I thought that you already knew. And so you did not know when you were in high school that you were
Not
that.
even as a kid.
What about your parents? Didn't they notice that there is something?
Back then in the 90s, nobody suspected anything. Even my father, I mean, my father's also ADHD.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, you can see it. It's right there.
Well, I see him excited and, hyper, but I never saw. I thought it was, okay.
So,
but did he know?
Yes, he knew, but it was very when I knew my, like, say one of my brothers dyslexic and my dad is ADHD. I was already maybe in my early teens.
Okay,
so that's why I got interested about special ed when it actually got lay into my lap.
So this is the interesting part is that I thought you got interested because of your condition. I didn't think that you got interested because of them, not you.
No, it was the
so
other way around.
You got to know about that after you went into the master.
Yes.
Okay,
and
take it over.
So this is where when they told me, and I was like, because they asked about my family, and I told, my father, and I told my brother and everything, and when they said that, I was like, now it makes sense. Everything made sense a lot to me, of all my struggles, everything else with it. So finished my master's in special ed, came back to Bahrain. I was 25. I was 26, I think. Yeah, 26, excited. You're young and you want to save the world. That's how my mind was coming to it.
Perfect. Let's stop it right there. You're 26. You finished your master's. You're back in Bahrain, all excited. Over to you, Nargis. Now, tell us high school and until you got to 26.
Well, I'm not even 26
no, you're
yet.
not even 26 yet. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Well, my high school experience, something I don't want to reminisce again, but I was one of those nerds that, I was just one of those nerds that, I don't know, nobody liked me. I was a loner, just with my nerdy group, just studying, getting good grades. I was a geek, Dungeons and Dragons lover, anime lover, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all of these things. But I was the nerd you can't mess with, because I used to do boxing and Muay Thai when I was in my high school years.
Okay.
So no one could mess with me, even though I was a nerd, but, But it was great. I got into a really good uni, even though my teachers thought I couldn't get into any uni.
But you said you had good grades and you were a nerd.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you get into a college?
Because in my year 13, it's a little complicated, but in my year 13, I wanted to do 2 A-level subjects instead of 3 because I already had one that I did in year 9, which was for Arabic.
Okay.
And I only needed to focus on the 2. And the third one was English literature. And I needed like an AAB to get into the university that I wanted.
Okay.
So I asked my English teacher, like, if I worked all day and night for the next few months, do you think I will get a B or an A? And he looked in my face. He's like, look, I think if you worked your butt off, at best you'll get a C. So I'm like, khalas, I don't want to do this subject anymore.
No.
There's no point. And the school didn't like it that much. They wanted all students to do 3 A-levels because it looks better. But so
Okay.
St. Christopher level.
St. Christopher,
Yeah.
that's their standard.
So you got into college?
Yeah, I got into
What college? And let me just pause over here. Any disorders? Any ADHD? I'm sorry.
just the usual anxiety. That's it.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the youngest child syndrome. Usually the more sensitive. Look at me.
Yeah.
Usually the more emotional, sensitive
Yes,
type.
yeah.
Which is good because I learned a lot about myself through psychology. So
yeah. Okay. So you applied
yeah, I applied, got into Durham University
for what?
for psychology, applied psychology.
Why?
Because I saw my sister. I actually shouted her a few times, and I was like, that seems like something I kind of want to do. I always thought I would do something that would help people in the future as a job, as a career. And I saw my sister in action, and I was, like she said, I was really inspired. I loved it, But when I got to uni, and the more I studied, the more I just ventured off a little bit more towards clinical psychology, like talk therapy. Okay. I felt like that was more my kind of style and personality. I especially found that out when I worked for her for a year during my gap year, because I took a gap year.
Internship.
Yeah, like an internship. You paid me.
Good. Okay.
It's a job, all right.
I just paid you just to give you motivation.
It was great motivation.
Okay, so tell me so what are you and what are you? Because, we know, I always say, psychology, psychiatrist, a psychologist, but with psychotherapy. I don't know the difference, and I'm sure lots of people don't know the difference either. So what are you, and then you tell us what you are. I mean, what's the difference between them?
Okay, so I've studied another master's after I came back to Bahrain, which is
all right for you,
with Florida Tech, and studied applied behavior analysis. Finished with my coursework and my field work, which is also clinical hours, which you need to get, and I'm considered right now as an eligible BCABA. Means it stands for Behavior Board Certified Behavior Analyst. And this is very important to get that credentials, because then you would be considered as an under the board of, meaning you can work as an ABA therapist.
Which is what? Explain to us a little bit more.
So applied behavior analysis, people assume it's more like psychology. It's two different things. Psychologists, I guess, they're more into Freud stuff, and we are more, our godfather is more into Pavlov, B.F. Skinner, which is pretty much is all based on science.
Okay.
For example, let's say, I'll give you a very quick example. Like, if you are hungry, what's the next behavior you would do if you feel hungry? You're going to
eat.
You're going to go find food to eat.
Yes.
Exactly. And then if you filled your food in your stomach, what is the consequence to that? You'll be satisfied.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's based on using in a science way. One of the good thing about ABA is not, people assume it's just used for autistic kids, when it's actually can be used in so many broad variety of things. Traffic control, some people with OSD. OCD, ADHD, language delays, and many more. Even people with memory losses and stuff like that. So this is the best thing about ABA, and people or even you can be used in management sectors, education sectors. For example, one of the things that we had a course about using behavior organization management.
Yes.
And I've explained that, like, one of the things is lacking is that people are so focused in big companies are just making money.
Yeah.
But then, okay, that's great. But then there's the other part in
the human part. I mean, the behavior, the human part, the relationship part.
Well, not just not the relationship. Let's say, for example, okay, you say you have the board certified analyst is checking around and saying, okay, and let's say that the lack of staff are the like percentage. A lot of them are not coming on time. Okay, so you're gonna create a plan. For example, let's say, a plan for it. Let's say, how can I make these staff to come, most of, like 80% of them coming on time? So you create of a reinforcement, a reinforcer for it. So let's say, for example, I've used that with my staff. So if you get 40 days, 40 days, consistent of coming on time, then you would be eligible to have 2 days off for free.
Okay.
So
sort of like an incentive.
Yeah, like a reward.
A reward, yes.
Okay.
So imagine the percentage of my staff, all of them coming on time.
Yeah.
And even actually some of them, they never come on time. They're always been coming on time.
Any vacancies? Do you have any vacancies? Okay.
So for example, how can I, as a team, what we want to create or get more, make them more productive and try to get more business into the company, Okay. So it's all about this. The problem is that a lot of companies, even I've looked around in a big organization, I've noticed that, they're so focused on this and they're lacking of not focusing on what's important. Some of them, they don't realize you've got good team, but there is not enough reinforcement into the situation in order for that to be motivated.
Right.
So everything is based on motivating operation. So why you adding, establishing or abolishing, using an establishing or abolishing operation. For example, what do you want to increase or decrease sort of behaviors. So that's the beauty about ABA. So I've studied that.
So tell me, is this part a branch of psychology? Does it have anything to do with psychology?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It does, of course, because even in psychology, they will give them. They do get a course, a bit about ABA and about Skinner.
They call it behavioral psychology.
They call it behavioral psychology.
Okay. Do you use any medication? Do you medicine? No. Okay. What is your branch of psychology?
Well, I actually just finished my master's in clinical neuropsychology.
Congrats. Yeah.
And hopefully gonna start my training, clinical attachment training with the Ministry of Health, then get my Nahra license and hopefully work in the psychiatric hospital.
All the best. All the best. So what is yours?
So clinical neuropsychology, it's also more science-based than clinical psychology. We look at people with patients with brain lesions or brain impairments that affects their motor behaviors. So for example, like Alzheimer's, cerebral palsy, Parkinson's disease, that we assess, diagnose, and treat them accordingly. So we're more hospital-based and more clinic-based than ABA therapy. They're more one-on-one kind of sessions at home or in the center.
Medicine involved?
Yeah, it is.
So,
it is somewhat
you
medicine.
do prescribe?
No, I'm not allowed to prescribe, but I'm allowed to diagnose.
Okay.
Prescriptions, I have to be affiliated with a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists are the only psychologists in the field that can prescribe medication.
I'm getting so confused. Okay.
I know.
So what are you? What are you called? I mean, yeah.
Okay. Clinical neuropsychologist.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are
ABA therapist.
okay.
Yeah.
We have that. Hopefully.
They all sound the same. That's why everyone gets so confused.
Yeah. Okay, so you're 26. You came back to Bahrain. We're going back now.
We're going back. I'm 26. It's good to be 26 again.
I know. I want to be. Okay. So you came back to Bahrain all excited, and what happened?
So I came back to Bahrain, of course, and back still in that time.
What are we talking about? What year are we talking about? 2000.
2008.
2008.
Yes,
Okay.
2008 now.
Okay.
So 2008, and I was excited. I wanted to work in schools or something, and I literally remember, I was in ICANS, and they really were so amazed about what I studied. They really wanted me, but they didn't know how to use me.
Okay.
And that's
or
the
they
problem.
didn't know, where to put you in and where to fit you in and right at.
It's about the things. So back that time there was, there's something called shadowing. Kids need some shadow roles or stuff. It wasn't there in that time in 2008.
Okay.
So and also having a special ed department and stuff. A lot of schools didn't have that. So like I said, a lot of schools loved it, but they don't know how to start this situation. And so of course I worked in Shuaifat, and then
so in schools,
for a very short period.
You didn't go to the ministry, and
No.
Okay.
And what happened is, as the time when I realized this is not working, I think I need to study. I need to have more, And there was one day I witnessed one person perform an ABA I think it's 2010, and I was so amazed what she was doing. And then I've asked her, how did you, and all of that, and she explained to me it's ABA, and then I started getting so interested in it. Immediately I started researching that same day, and I started researching so much that I've decided within a few days, that's it, this is what I want to do, and I contacted the university, and I started off immediately in 2011.
Okay. Tell me about your parents. How were they feeling about all of this? Were they okay with it? Were they saying, "Oh, what is this field that you got yourself into?" What were their thoughts?
Well, for my side, because I was the eldest, when I said this first time I told my mom art therapy, my dad were like, "What is this?" They were like, "You're an out of that." And I explained to them. Then my mom she really liked it.
Okay.
She says, yes, you will be the first in Bahrain. And I was like, okay, great. But then when I didn't got the acceptance, and then I told her about special needs education, she didn't know what it was, and she wasn't happy about it.
Okay.
Neither was, not happy, like they weren't to me to do art therapy.
You even got accepted for art therapy, and on the first day of class, they told you, we mistakenly picked you. We were supposed to pick somebody else.
Yes.
On the first day of class.
Yes, actually, that's right. Sorry, I forgot to say. They say we mistakenly picked you. I was like, how could you do this to me? It was so terrible. But anyway, so when this happened, and then my mom's like, "Oh, what?" And she's like, "Okay, fine, whatever. Just study and continue."
Yeah.
As time went, then they started to, of course, it takes parents, it takes them a while to know what it is. And then when I started studying ABA, also they didn't know what it was, actually. It took a while, and now my parents both know how amazing it is, and what I do. And then they were, when she was very young, when she was young in high school, my parents were telling her, influencing her, that she should go through to this field.
I've been conditioned.
You're right. Yeah.
Conditioned. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. And then of course now my parents, they're very happy to what I'm doing, and how I've grown from where I was to where I am today.
So what are you doing now? So first you tell me, Basma, and then we come to you, Nargis, to bring you in.
All right.
Okay. So what are you doing now? Do you have your own clinic? What are you doing now?
Well, I do have a small, like an office center, and I've just recently actually opening, which is going to open in next week, a nursery daycare. But the way nursery daycare that I'm providing, it will be form of teaching preschool life skills with using an ABA methods. So the children from 8 years old baby till 3 years old, the intervention's already there regardless, not knowing whether the child is being diagnosed autistic or ADHD or anything like that. It's the whole point is getting the child ready, teaching them what's need to be taught. All weekly data is going to be taken care of. Observation is going to be there, making sure every child's according to space.
Is it normal kids coming in there, or they are special needs?
No, just you don't know, because they're 1.5 years old. Okay. A lot of them 1 year old, for example.
Okay.
But intervention, I mean, for example, my 2 kids, Okay, and we can say typical kids. I've always placed and always put an intervention for them. As in, there's always been an behavioral interventions. This is why my children know how to sit down. They know how to. It's been taught. It's been reinforced. How to sit in the cinema or the restaurants and so on. It's not just because a lot of parents today's what's happening. And it's not anyone's fault or anything. And I kept on saying it's because parents today have to work, both parents.
Yes. Yeah.
And kids are so stuck with nannies all day long. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when not all schools, but most preschools that I go to, they're so focused on ABC and 1, 2, 3 when these kids already know it regardless,
Yeah.
And when there's so much things more important than this, like motor skills, self-care skills, functional communication skills, all of that's so important. So, and this is what I wanted to do to help to teach these children, and because this is their time coming to school or preschool or daycare, within these 5-6 hours for them to be ready and learning how to be independent. So when they go home and they already place it on that same setting, the same what we've been teaching them. Parents come home, mothers come home tired, exhausted, don't have time to really do what needs to be done, to teach them. And they pretty much, of course, it's natural. They will tell the nannies to take care of it, and nannies will enable it.
Are you finding it, not interesting, but do you find people that are, oh wow, this is what we want, and they're bringing their children?
We got calls, a lot of calls that like they wanted, and inshallah, of course, I know a lot of people are still asking what is the curriculum or British curriculums or the American, and
they're stuck in the status quo.
It's 8 months old to 3 years old. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I kept on saying. In England and America, there's no such thing. They're in daycare until they're 5-6 years old anyway.
Do you have a graduation ceremony? No. Nargis.
I forgot. And after that, of course, and as well, creating the app.
Well, now we'll see. Nargis, you're back here, and are you working together with your sister, or are you? Well, you have your own job and then also collaborating with your sister.
I just finished my master's a couple weeks ago, so right now I'm in the process of applying and starting my clinical attachment training, because during my master's it was all online, so I didn't have the chance to learn how to use equipment. So my future employer told me, like, get some training with the Ministry of Health and you can start working. So hopefully that can happen in a few months' time. And I've been working on the app, like my sister said, for the past years.
Now let's talk about your app. Who wants to start?
Well, she's the CEO.
All right.
So I'm the CEO.
You are already a CEO. I want to be a CEO.
It's self-appointed title.
Okay. So tell me about your app.
Well, I took a gap year between my second and third year of uni. And I worked with my sister during the day, and at night I was working at a clinical psychology practice in the evening.
In Bahrain?
In Bahrain, yeah. And actually here.
Okay, yeah.
And while I was working in both very different fields, I saw the same demand. They all, even though so completely different, they all needed the same thing. People need therapists. There's a demand for needing therapists, all different types of therapists, but there's a lack of supply, or they don't know where to find the supply.
Okay.
So when I stopped working at the clinical psychology practice and worked with Basma more full time, I don't know, I had a dream for 3 nights in a row about this app, and on the third night at 3 a.m. I just woke up and just wrote in my notebook, like, I have to write this down. Okay. And then piece by piece, the app just started coming together. I wanted to create a mental health hub where you can find everything you need when it comes to mental health, whether it's booking appointments, reading articles, 24/7 domestic abuse hotline, shopping for in our store for pre-approved psychology books, journals, whatnot.
Oh, so it's really a holistic
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's not just finding a doctor or
Yeah.
psychologist or a clinic. No,
No.
Yeah.
it has to do everything about that area.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, where have you reached? Where are you now? Which stage are you in?
Well, we've just launched in January.
Oh, you launched it?
Yeah, we launched it. Well, it's been a soft launch for now.
Okay.
But slowly just trying to work out the kinks, what glitches are we seeing when people are using it and everything. And then we're just sort of stabilizing that at the moment before we just kind of shoot upwards.
Okay,
So-
and what is it called?
NFS, NFS.
NFS, which is,
Available in Android and
yeah.
Apple stores.
Okay.
So the whole point is just say,
yes,
take care of
exactly.
your nafs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take care.
Yeah.
NFS.
Okay, so if they just write that NFS and on Apple or Android or
Yeah.
they Google it and
Yeah.
they can find it.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. What's next for you guys?
Well, as she's saying, right now we're taking it, making sure because we want to make sure there's no problems,
Right.
because you have to remember that, of course, increasing this app into more features in the future, we want people to understand that we wanted to make it a very secure place.
Right.
All the person who it's a great thing also for therapists and psychologists or therapists, psychologists, psychiatric and alternative therapists. All background is checked.
Okay.
The reason also she came up with this idea when she told me, I was immediately said go for it, and I'm right with it, because she also heard my complaints. Because one of the things is that a lot of parents, when I look at moms in Bahrain on the Facebook, and the parents are looking for advices or things. First of all, for when it comes to mental health or alternative therapists, they might advise us give people's names or recommendation,
Right.
but they don't have the NHRA, they don't have maybe not a qualification, or they're not the professional people to give an advices to the person, such whatever they're going
So
through.
let me ask you this: are you connected with Nehra, or did you get an approval for
Nahra
the
said
app?
we don't need an approval.
Yes.
You don't need.
Yeah,
that. Okay. They don't need to check it and make sure that no.
Yeah, because
That's
a lot of fields in psychology, they don't need Nahra licensing.
Okay.
Like some do, like speech therapy does, occupational therapy, but other stuff like art therapy, music therapy, they don't need Nahra licensing.
But you
and
went
maybe-
to them and you asked their advice.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Okay. And how do the doctors come to you and ask to be put on their names and their clinics on the app, or how does it work? Do you just
Mostly right now we're trying to go towards the people.
Yes.
Well, actually, could I answer this one?
Yes.
Go
Sis.
for it, go.
yes. She's the CEO. Don't forget that.
Because I literally just had a meeting about this today with the developers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, yes, we go to the practitioners. The practitioners come to us. We send them an application form with the terms and conditions. But right now, what we're doing is developing a much more user-friendly experience for the practitioners to apply online and on our website. And once we do a background check, hopefully in 24 to 48 hours, they'll be on the app. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Let me ask you this: how demanding is this field in Bahrain? Is there a lot of need for it to lots of people?
Yes, it's a lot of needs, but a lot of them, they're still feel embarrassed
Yeah.
to ask
Yeah.
or to go or to find. It's a lot of, or even it takes time to find anyway, whatever you're looking for. And we're trying to make it very simple and easy, and also feeling comfortable and secured. And it's just like, one button away for everything that you're looking for. Okay. So, but it is needed. But the problem is that people don't know if it's needed because nobody asks.
Yes.
A lot, and they it's not because they don't ask, they don't want to. No, they want to, but a lot of them are feeling still subconscious about it and still afraid.
Culturally, they think that this is like
stigmatized.
Let me just put it this way. 50% almost 50% of the entire globe has experienced a mental health obstacle in their life.
Now it's even more, right?
Now it's probably even more because of COVID.
Yes.
It has increased domestic violence, has increased depression, anxiety. Kids as young as, 6 are developing anxiety and depression at such a young age.
Yeah.
I had a client with an 8 years old with severe anxiety during the whole COVID thing. Really, really bad.
Times are changing.
Anxiety, 8-year-old?
8 years old.
Oh, okay.
Times are changing and life is getting much more complicated each year. So, yeah.
Okay, one personal question. How does this affect you guys? I mean, you know how it's draining, right? When you go into therapy and you sit with people with anxiety and trauma and all that. How does it affect you? How do you make it not affect you, personally and in your personal life and all that? How do you safeguard yourself?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. I mean, when you after work, after all this much problems you're here and going through, and then after,
doesn't that make you depressed? That's what I'm saying. I mean, I do things like that I like to release. That I like to release the way I like to. So for me, it was jogging. I love jogging. So I'm a jogger. I mean, I saw you a few times.
I'm a jogger, but now I'm not jogging. Now, since for the knee injury, so I'm not jogging, but I've been into now cycling, doing the Ride Nation a lot, actually.
Yeah, okay.
So that's actually releases my stress.
Traveling.
I travel 3-4 times a year, so it's
still not nowadays.
Now it's not. But so they were like all wondering. So a year and a half, you haven't been able to travel. So what would you do? So of course, I spend time with my kids, my husband. So once I come home, that's it. After 6 o'clock, my phone is away. Everything is away. My family always comes first. Actually, first my health and then my family. My job is actually the last. I do love my job. I love everything. I love helping every parent's family from A to the final Z. But they all know that after 6 o'clock, I will not answer. But the next day, I will respond to all the emails, messages, even the weekends after the weekend. So it's all about time management,
right?
And also knowing that once you put your foot out, that's it. You can't wear your. It's like saying you can't wear your doctor's coat 24/7.
No, and plus you won't be able to help them if you are yourself not healthy and with a good mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I kept on saying, even not for them, even my family. So when that's why I said my health first.
True.
And then
because you have to be healthy to face all of this.
Exactly. And it's a lot to take, and it does get frustrating during my work job, because I have to from my side, I have the parents, I have the schools, and then I have the huge expectation from me, because in the end of the day, I'm like their hope of their lights for these parents, and I can understand that, so I'm trying to be, I'm also like a messenger between schools and the parents' families. So and I'm also I'm also like a guardian for this child. So it's a lot of pressure, but
God bless you. God bless you for what you're doing. Nargis, what do you do? Or are you still fresh and all that? It hasn't gotten to you yet.
No, I have some experience. Definitely some very intense cases, especially in the clinical psychology practice.
Right.
Honestly, I just go to a therapist myself, talk about it, what I've heard. They're also legally bound and contractually bound to not repeat anything. See friends, do the things that I love to do, my hobbies, things that soothe me,
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, girls, for coming in here and telling us this story, amazing story, and all the best
you.
for your app and for your school.
Yes.
Yeah, and for the
Hopefully
future.
come and see it.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Let me know when, and I'll be there.
So far, what do you think?
Huh?
What do you think of the app and everything else?
I think it's an amazing thing because me, even myself, sometimes I feel like, I want to talk to someone, and the thing is, sometimes you want to just talk. You don't want anything in return. You just want somebody who can just listen to you. And at the same time, it has to be someone who doesn't really know you or is not family, so not to judge you.
Exactly.
At the same time, not to give you solutions and all that because they know you so well. They say, oh, but because you did this and you didn't. No, I just want to talk.
It's
just
like having a trained friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So wonderful what you're doing, and all the best.
Thank you.
you
Thank
so
you.
much.
So much.
Thanks.
Thank you.